Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 15 minutes to the lady from Jackson.
Lady from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment ending in point 29H. It's been distributed, and I move for its adoption.
Lady from Jackson has moved for the adoption of House Amendment 20, ending in point 29H. Lady from Jackson.
Thank you. So this amendment will be an increase. It will be a standalone increase taken from the Department of Mental Health Federal Fund and sent to United Way of Greater KC. Funds here will support violence prevention and recovery organizations, mental health support services, and first responders. We have all been affected by gun violence, and this will help. This will help a lot who have been affected by it. With that, Mr. Speaker, can I inquire of the lady from Jackson District 25?
This is the lady from Jackson in yellow. Yield to the lady in yellow from Jackson.
Yes, I yield to my twin.
Please proceed.
Afternoon or evening. I believe that you have something that you'd like to add about gun violence.
Yeah, so I really appreciate this, you offering this amendment. And I was thinking about last week when we all welcomed the Honorable Sandra Reeves to the House. She was the first woman representative from Clay County to be elected in this body. We applauded her at championing the first car seat bill in the state for our kids. And I believe you were on the side gallery with me when we had a conversation with her. And she wanted to implement the car seat bill for child protection, to save children, to protect children. Just like we're doing today with trying to raise awareness and protect children for the number one cause of death, which is gun violence. The interesting thing that she said to us over on the side gallery is the bill passed not because to protect children, it passed because of the money and the lobby that was behind it. The manufacturers that would make millions with a car seat mandate, if you will. So here we are in this situation trying to protect our children against gun violence, and we don't have big lobbyists behind us. In fact, we have the gun lobbyists on the opposite side. Right. That's why we can't even talk about this. That's why we never get our bills referred to committee. And all we're doing, like the Honorable Sandra Reeves was trying to do, is to simply protect our children.
Agree. Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, can I inquire of the other lady from Jackson, Young District 22?
Lady from Jackson, yield to the lady from Jackson.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr.
Please
Speaker.
proceed.
Hi, lady. I was wondering, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Talk about gun violence and mental health?
Sure, I can talk about my experience. As you know, 16 months ago, my son, Alan Young Jr., and I'm just really getting to where I can say his name. Alan Young Jr.'s life was taken by someone who used a firearm. Still, our family has a profound, it's a profound impact, must I say, on my family, on his friends, on the community that loved him. And in this body, we've argued about gun violence the last 5 years, the 5 years I've been here, but with no significant real changes or real solutions in terms of its reduction, at least. And as you know, because we're both from Kansas City and serve the people in Kansas City, violence has gotten worse over the years, not better. So in 2022, when my son was killed, there were 167 deaths. In 2023, 182. And now in 2024, I'm told it's about 34 or so. And I mourn alongside every one of those families who suffered a loss like that. So I welcome this amendment because amendments like this would help provide the funding that is so needed for community organizations to do the work, and oftentimes the work that is evidence-based, that have proven to help reduce gun violence. It'll help reduce the risk factors while at the same time increase protective factors. So I encourage everyone to really think about this. Again, we have argued gun violence, both sides of the aisle. Hasn't produced much change, but I do believe providing some funding for organizations who do the work, who rub shoulders with the people in the communities whose lives it impacts every day, will make a big difference.
Thank you so much, lady. Mr. Speaker, can I inquire of the lady from District 14, Platte County?
Does the lady from Platte yield?
I sure do.
Please proceed.
Hey, lady. Is there anything that you'd like to add to talk about gun violence or mental health today?
Absolutely. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to actually have a conversation about this on the floor of the Missouri House of Representatives. Most of the time when we try to talk about this, we get PQ'd, we get gavelled down. Mm-hmm. Some of us get our mics turned off, but I think it's really important that we talk about things that are affecting our communities. And one thing I want to bring to the body's attention is that just yesterday in the Northland, officers responded to a home where there was a double murder-suicide. And, when I think about situations like that, which are just devastating, they're devastating. Gun violence in that situation is completely different than the gun violence that many of us experienced at Union Station a few months ago. What I can't help but think about is how Missouri's gun laws could have led to a tragedy like that. As a really proud Moms Demand Action volunteer and supporter, I think about all of the policies that we advocate for as Moms Demand members. We advocate for safe storage laws. Myself, I'm a gun owner, but I have locks on my guns. I have, biometric locks on my guns. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's so important, right? Because we need to make sure that even though we have firearms for protection, we can still keep them on the ready for protection without putting ourselves and our family members at risk.
Agree.
And, another issue I can't help but think of is a red flag law, if we were to have that. I mean, even Florida passed a red flag law. You would think that we'd be able to get something like that here in Missouri. When folks are experiencing mental health crises, not giving our law enforcement officers the tools they need to respond appropriately to confiscate a weapon that could potentially hurt them or someone in their family or their neighbors, that is so crucial to the safety of our communities. And in the suburbs and in Platte County like mine, we have got to find solutions, and Missouri is not letting us do that.
I agree with you, lady. We need to do something. In rural communities, there's a lot of suicides going on as well. Red flag laws would help prevent that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, can I inquire of the gentleman from Jackson County, Brown District?
Does the gentleman from Jackson yield?
I do, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you, lady?
Well, we'll see. We're halfway through. You talk a lot about gun violence as well, especially somebody who rides public transportation. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, we've talked about this issue here in this chamber, and here's the truth. Until we actually address the guns, we're not really going to do anything about the gun violent issue. And I realize that in our state, we have some of the loosest gun laws. And when we talk about our legislature, I get it when there are people who don't necessarily want to do things because that's the conscious decision they've made. I will say this, though. To address the violence issue, it's not just a single-pronged approach. Yes, we do need to look at the guns, but there are other things we also need to be doing, such as the wraparound services when we talk about mental health, such as after-school activities, such as community awareness programs. And so if we're not going to address the guns themselves, then can we please look at some of these other programs? Because these communities, they're asking for help. I hear them. People are desperate because what we're doing right now isn't working. The homicide rate keeps going up, and people want some type of resolve. So, lady, I appreciate you bringing this amendment. I wish there was a magic bullet to solve the problem. But, really, I feel like unless we look at the guns themselves, we've got a state where we allow children to open carry.
Right.
So I have concerns about that. I'm not wanting to take away nobody's gun. There's a lot of responsible gun owners out there. And I just want people to be responsible when we talk about the storage of guns. I don't think children should be walking around in public with guns. But if we're not going to address the guns, please, let's at least fund these programs to try to help the people in the community that are trying to help save these communities.
100%, gentlemen, I agree. If we can fund other programs that will help with a whole bunch of other ways that people are affected by gun violence, hey, let's do that. And if we can't talk about common sense gun laws. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you for the inquiry, lady.
Right, Mr. Speaker, can I inquire of the lady from the Lavender District?
Does the lady from St. Louis County yield?
I do. Thank
Please
you, Mr.
proceed.
Speaker.
Hi, lady. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, I just want to circle us back. So this is $10 million going to Kansas City Strong.
Correct.
So this would help the community where the mass shooting occurred in Kansas City the day of the parade. And I didn't fully realize, because I was thinking more one death, that's plenty, 20 injured. But it was actually the largest crowd in America that suffered at a mass shooting.
This is a mass shooting that they have never seen before.
Exactly,
It's
because of the number of people involved. The Hispanic,
and states.
Pardon?
And states.
Yeah. So the large effect in the Hispanic community, the woman who died was Hispanic. I believe a lot of her family members were injured.
Yes.
So
or they witnessed her death.
Right. So there's a tremendous amount of trauma there. But interesting what we've talked about, too, is our gun laws. So I believe there are 4 people that have been arrested. 2 are underage.
Yeah.
So we've talked about children 18 or less not being able to carry guns in public. So that would have been 2 of the 4 that would not have been involved. But the other fascinating is the 2 adults may not ever be held accountable because they're going to use stand my ground or stand your ground.
Right.
So one said I was threatened, the other one said I was shot at, and now all of a sudden the laws of Missouri may allow everybody to walk free because our gun laws are so lax, we may not be able to convict anybody in the largest mass shooting incident in the nation.
Agree with you, lady. Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, could I inquire of the lady from the Manlove District?
Lady from the Manlove District, do you yield?
I do, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
Hey, lady.
Hey, is there some thoughts that you would like to add about this conversation right now?
Yeah, this money is going, well, it's like through mental health money, right?
Right.
I too, had my younger cousin murdered in 2018. And I think a part that we don't talk about a lot is how people perceive love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Mr. Speaker, can I have some order, please? I can't hear myself. I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your discussions to a minimum as we spend the state's money, or the people's money.
Hey, hopefully we'll spend it on something that actually helps the people.
I would hope so.
So when my cousin was murdered, basically he didn't know what toxic love looked like. Okay. And he didn't know that he was exchanging that with the girl that he was interested in. I think it kind of plays into this murder-suicide we just talked about, right? You love somebody so much, you love them to death. Right? And that's that's bad mentally as a way to approach love. So I'm happy that we're actually talking about organizations that get into the crux of that and talk about that in that trauma healing. So I support this amendment. I'm pretty sure, we'll get the normal vote, but good job on you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, with that, I will take any questions or I will close.
Further discussion, gentleman from Jasper. We are on House Amendment 20 to House Bill 2010.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak against the amendment.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All that discussion notwithstanding, there's a structural issue with this amendment, and that is that there are no funds available in the fund with which to pay for the things that the lady is attempting to pay for. So there is no money there. This would be vacant appropriation authority, or it, at best, would give the Department of Mental Health a variety of options to defund something else to necessarily go towards this. That would be things like the developmental disability provider rates that we've had lengthy discussions about tonight. So all of that money in this fund is appropriated already. There is no additional revenue there to support this appropriation. For that reason, I cannot support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion? Seeing none. Lady, you're recognized to renew your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So there is $300 million that is in this fund that does not get spent. We are only asking for 10. That is it. You won't let us have a discussion about common sense gun legislation. We can't talk about it. We get PQ'd. We get point of ordered. At least let us fund an organization to help with the effects of gun violence. That is another way that we can talk about this. There is mental health that we need. There is support for first responders who also need mental health treatments as well. Mr. Speaker, if I can have 5 members standing, I'd like a roll call vote.
Lady, you'll get a roll call vote. The lady from Jackson has renewed her motion for the adoption of House Amendment 20 to House Bill 2010. Has everybody voted? A roll call vote has been requested. All those in favor will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. Mr. Clerk, please ring the bell and open the board. Our members in the back would stop obstructing members when they're on their way to vote. It would be appreciated. Has everybody voted? Mr. Clerk, please close the board and tally the vote. By your vote of 41 yeses and 101 noes, you have failed to adopt House Amendment 20. Further discussion on House Bill 2010. Seeing none, that bill shall hold its place on the calendar.